But just during your prayer time, if you remember us, just send up a quick prayer. Turn with me to Matthew chapter 7. We're going to stay there. We're going to read verses 1 and 2, and then we're going to skip down to verse 15 through 20. And when you are ready, say, I'm ready. Some of y'all on point. If you're not, say, hold up. I got you. I don't want to leave nobody behind. But if you don't have a Bible with you, no problem. It's going to be right up here on the screen for your viewing pleasure. And before we do jump into it, has this sermon series been helping anybody? Has it brought to light some new things, or it's making you think a little bit deeper about what church actually is and what we should be doing or anything like that? I see some head nods. I see some that are still flipping, some that are like, what? Huh? What are you talking about? It's all good. But Matthew chapter 7, starting in verse 1. Hold on to your chairs. You ready? Are you sure? All right, let's go through this. These are the words of Jesus. On mine is written in red. It says, hold up. What's that first word? I don't even want to say it. Judge not, that you be not judged. For with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. And with the measure you use it will be measured to you. We've all heard that. Don't judge, lest you be judged. Now let's jump down to verse 15. This is a story that you often hear pastors and leaders kind of skip over, or they don't touch on very much, and it's a phrase in a story I hear a lot outside of a church. And it sounds very churchy because you'll see what I'm saying. Verse 15 says, be aware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will recognize them by their fruits. I want you to highlight that verse. You will recognize them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? So every healthy tree bears what? What kind of fruit? And where does good fruit come from? A healthy tree. I understand that. So every healthy tree bears good fruit. But, it's always a but in here, isn't it, Jesus? Always a but. But the diseased tree bears what? Bad fruit. Makes sense, right? Get it? A healthy tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a diseased tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus you will recognize them by what? By their fruits. And that was a lot right there in those little 5 verses. But we're going to dive into it here in just a second. The most common phrase that I hear from people is why they don't come to church is because that church is full of judgmental people. I thought you were supposed to not judge, is what your God says, but yet here you are judging me. And you know what? They're not wrong. But here's some good news, church. Jesus shows us how to not judge through what he just says. Now, he plainly says, do not judge, lest you be judged, right? Judge not, or you will be judged. But who is he telling this to? Because that's important. People read the Bible, they kind of take that out of its context. Who is Jesus talking to in this story? Let me just let you in on a little secret. Last couple of Sundays, we've been focused on him talking to the Pharisees, right? Remember last week where they were getting ready to stone a woman? And he's talking to the Pharisees and the religious leaders, the church people. He's talking to the church people now, telling them, do not judge. Well, why is he saying that? It's because they were judging and they didn't even know they were doing it. Y'all are real quiet, so I'm going to pick sides, which sides I like best this morning. I'm going to try it on this side. Did you understand what I just said? They were judging and they did not know it. All right, cool. Now I'm going to go to this side. Y'all understand what I'm talking about? They were judging, and they did not know that they were judging. How many of us, myself included, we don't even know we're doing it? Our heart is good, but we don't even know we're doing it. Our intentions are good. They are heartfelt intentions that want to help, but they take it as judgment. Does that make sense? Your heart might be in the best place possible. You could be living at the foot of the cross, and yet you want to help somebody that does not come to church, and you invite them to church, and all of a sudden they take that as judgment. But let's back up for a second. What exactly is judging someone? What does that look like? Well, let's start off by what judging is not. All right? Judging is not telling the truth. Uh-oh. Judging is not telling the truth. Sometimes, oftentimes, majority of the times, truth hurts. Would you agree? Truth hurts. It hurts deep. But that doesn't mean it's not truth. Sometimes we need to hear the truth. All the time we need to hear truth. Sometimes the truth hurts. However, I believe, and we could debate this forever, but I believe as a Christian, as a Jesus follower, our responsibility as Jesus people, we should be doing our very best to give people the truth in a way that exemplifies Jesus' character. I look at myself and I ask myself the all-important question that is on bands and things like that. WWJD. What would Jesus do, right? If I'm going to tell this person the truth, how would Jesus do it? I'm going to tell you something about Jesus. Jesus would not take a book called the Bible. He would not take this thing as we see it in modern times. If I want to know how Jesus would present the truth, Jesus would not take this thing and lay it at their feet or throw it at them and say, good luck. But that's what church people do. We take this thing and we think we have it figured out, so if I got it figured out, you should figure it out. Yet that's not at all how it works. You know what Jesus did? Jesus connected before he corrected. How many people you know that don't come here? And how well do you know them? You want them to be here, right? We all do. I want this church packed out. I'd like to bring chairs, have people sitting in the choir loft after the choir leaves, of course. Unless y'all can sing, then get up there and do your thing. But I want people packed out in here. But how many of you know that's not the ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is what Jesus said. He says, go and make disciples. And that don't mean they have to be here. They could be out working. But how many of you know we take the book called the Bible and we hand it to people and we say, that's the truth, now go do it. Sometimes we don't connect before we correct. If you look through Scripture, watch Jesus. When he gave people the truth, he asked, he started conversations, he got to know them a little bit, and once he did that, then he told them the truth. Then he showed them the way. Do we look like that? And now, don't get it twisted, but some people get truth and judgment mixed up. Most of us, let me just give you an example. Most of us would not get upset with someone who told us that our zipper was down and that most people have begun to point and laugh. I'd be like, yo, thank you. Y'all should see your face right now. Everybody went like this. For real? How do you know that? Most of us wouldn't get upset because they're what? They're trying to help, right? They don't want you to be embarrassed. Unless it's your friend, you'd be like, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to let you do you do. But those are good friends. But most of us would not get upset if that happened, right? But what if they told you that there's an area in your life that has, just like that zipper, fallen down, and if you don't pick it back up, you don't zip it back up, it's going to be more than just laughing and judgment. Now how do you feel? Don't judge me. See where I'm going? You see what I'm talking about? We get truth and judgment mixed up. Judgment is not truth-telling. Sometimes I would rather a friend hurt my feelings than allow me to wreck my future. If I'm going down this path, please, dude, tell me the hard truth. And no judgment there. She's trying to help me. She's trying to help me. But yet, we take it as judgment when they're just trying to help. Now, what else is judging? What is it not? It's not pointing out when someone is inconsistent or when they're not consistent. There are things about me that I can't see that are hurting me. There are things about you that you can't see that are hurting you. We all have those blind spots in our life. And if we only surround ourselves who think like us, with the people that think like us, that see the same things we do, will we ever get better? Will we ever get to the level that Jesus wants us to get to? No, because we all have the same blind spots. It's good to learn from other people. But when a friend calls me out on an area of my life that I'm not consistent in, I don't take that as judgment. I go, hey, I'm dropping the ball in this area. Maybe I need to pick it back up. But oftentimes, people take it as judgment. Y'all real quiet this morning. This must be hitting hard. It's okay. It gets better. Just calm down. I love you. Not judging up here. So what exactly is judging, Zach? What exactly is it? It was posed to me this way. Judging is overanalyzing condemnation that only gives you a limited view of someone's life. Let me say that again. It is an overanalyzing condemnation that only gives you a limited view of someone's life. It's thinking you know a person's entire life based on one interaction. Had that happen to me in Subway the other day. Homeboy couldn't have been no more than 16. Not judging you 16-year-olds, but y'all need to learn how to drive. Just saying. I'm pulling in to my spot, and this kid is coming at me going diagonally through the parking spaces. Thank God I saw him. I sit there for a second, recollect myself as a man of the cloth. Don't judge me. See? See what I mean? Recollect myself, step out of the car, go into Subway, and who is in front of me? That 16-year-old. And you know what he did? He goes, hey, man, I'm sorry about that. I was in a hurry. I was like, oh, good. No. But I was like, you know what I just did? I judged him based off of his driving. I said, you got me again, God. Can I have a 6-inch Subway? Got me again. How many times do we do that throughout the week? Something that small and we think we know that person. And it's the same way. It's a two-way street. How many times does that happen to us? It don't feel good. But then going back to the scripture, it says, you will know a tree by the fruit it bears. A good tree, a healthy tree, bears good fruit. A bad tree or an unhealthy tree bears unhealthy fruit, right? But what the church needs to understand is how to assess another person's fruit. Because is Jesus really talking about a tree? Maybe. You want to know what he's talking about? Human beings. Spoiler alert. Read deeper. He's not talking about just trees. He's talking about a person's life. We need to see what kind of fruit is being produced in that person. Not to judge the tree, but to determine how we need to interact with it. But what the church has oftentimes done is predetermine the outlook of the tree. You a bad tree. They walk in here. You see them in Walmart. Well, let's not do the Walmart thing. Let's back up. Let's go somewhere else. Target, okay? I don't know. That's probably just as bad. I don't know. You see them somewhere out in public. This is how my brain works. Squirrels, everything. You see them somewhere out in public. They have something going on. They might get upset with the cashier. You might see them. They making a scene. They causing a scene. What do you initially think about that person? They need to calm down. Y'all need Jesus. Don't even lie like you ain't done it. Y'all need some Jesus. Right? But yet, we only get that one little glimpse of their life, and we think we know them. That's crazy, isn't it? You a bad tree, and you're going to die a bad tree. This is for my youth class. You're going to die a bad tree, and if you continue the way you're going, you're going to burn. So you need to come to church and become a good tree. Sit on the front row and listen to the sermon. I thought that's how we got people in church for the longest time. But yet I found out, I said it last week, I'm going to continue to say it, love is a better motivator than fear. If you love me enough to invite me and care for me and look over me and watch over me, I'm more inclined to come than I am to do it the other way. I want you to understand the difference, church. But the difference is we need to look at the tree and say, that tree, that person, I hope y'all are catching this, that person is producing some fruit that I need to stay away from. That's how you see the difference? I'm not judging the tree. I'm just being aware that that tree is producing some things out of it that are not good for me. So I'm going to do my best to be like Adam and Eve, which they ultimately failed at, is to stay away from the tree. Does that make sense? Y'all following me? That's biblical. You can love people from a distance. Did you know that? You can love people from a distance. We're going to get there in a second. But the problem is that we determine a verdict of the tree that is condemnatory, condescending, and critical because we are looking at the outside of the tree and we're not even thinking about what it looks like on the inside or the roots. Y'all about to make me preach. Y'all about to come get me. Y'all understand that? We only look at the outside of the tree when we don't even care about what's underneath it. Let me give you an example. Take the book of Job, for example. Not Job, even though some people need that. No, I'm playing. Kidding. Not really. But anyway, when Job gets really sick, what does his wife tell him? After all that's going on, what does his wife tell him? She says, why don't you just curse God and die? That's what she said. That's what she says. Go back and read it for yourself. That's what she says. Is that right? No, that's not right. That's not healthy. But she said it. That's bad. I know that's bad fruit. But I won't condemn her. I won't call her evil or even a bad person or a bad wife. Why? Because I've only been given a limited view of her entire life. Let me put it to you this way. I've never had to care for anyone who can't care for themselves. I've never had to go and help somebody who can't physically get up out the bed. I've never been there where I had to be the sole caretaker to get them up, clean them, cook, clean again, take them to the bathroom, bring them back to the bed, and care for every single need for them. I've never done that. So I'm not going to judge her because how many of you know pressure in your life, stress in your life, anxiety and worry will make you say things and do things that you wouldn't normally do. So I'm not going to judge her. I'm not in her shoes. So therefore, I'm not going to say she's evil or she's a bad wife. I'm not in her position. I can't judge her. But that doesn't mean what she said is right. It's wrong. She's just producing some fruit based off of her situation. Would she need help? Yeah. But I'm not going to judge her. So how is it when people don't even know your last name? They don't know what you've been through in the last year or two. They have no idea what you're struggling with right now, that you allow them to get under your skin. They have no idea. You know what? I've heard also too, and I'm guilty of it too. You get people coming to you and go, you know, I've been seeing such and such, or I'm friends with such and such. And I've caught myself going, I wouldn't mess with him or her. I heard things about them, you know what I'm saying? I just heard some things. And I have to stop myself and go, wait a second. That ain't right. I've never had a conversation with that person. How many of you ever had that time where this irks me to no end? And I've probably done it too. People will meet me. They'll hear things about me, and they'll meet me, and they'll have a conversation with me, and they'll say this. They go, you know what, Zach? You all right. I go, wait, what? As opposed to what else? You know why they say that? Because they judge me prematurely. Oh, Zach, you're a pastor, but you're cool. You're cool. You wear wear sneakers and jeans, and sometimes they got holes in them. They didn't this morning. I should have. It's hot. But you all right. You all right. You ain't like these other pastors out here that all prim and proper. Like, cause I don't think Jesus was like that. I think Jesus was a man of the people. Jesus was the same as everybody else, even though he was God. He was rolling with, you got what I'm saying. You all right, Zach. You know how I take that? Judgment. Judge me before you knew me. How many of us do that? You judge them before you have a conversation with them. Have a conversation with people. Connect before you correct.